Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. So Barcelona beats Ibiza 2-1. So heading into this match, as we were getting into the game, when I saw the squad list, I was like, okay, we are going to be very experimental because a lot of players were missing. We had Messi out, we had Piqué out, Sergio Busquets out, and we had a lot of other players missing. So I was like, okay, this is a good time for the youngsters to try and get used to the system. Then when the starting 11 came out, like an hour before the match, I was like, okay, we are really going to be experimental, not just in the attack, but in the defensive line. So I knew that we were going to see a Barcelona that we have never seen before. They were going to be in a lineup they have never tested before, and we got exactly that. So in result, the players, they looked out of position. They looked nervous too. And I can see why, because when you are a new player playing under a new system, under a new coach, and you're under a new formation, one little mistake can cost you the whole game, right? When the players were going into this game, they knew that. And what that leads to is playing safe football. Like, the players played with fear. No one wants to make decisive passes, take shots outside the box, take the ball forward. And that is what we saw in the first half. We didn't see any action. We did not want to use our attack. So in the first half, what we got was a total shots of 2, shots on target 0, shots off target 0, big chances 0, big chances missed 0. So you can see that we have a bunch of zeros and ones. We weren't really creating chances. We were just passing the ball in the mid. And that is why we ended up 1-0 when the first half ended. So instead of talking about the whole match, I want to point out a few players on what their pros and cons were. And I'm first going to talk about Riqui Puig. He was one of those players that played very reserved. He looked like he was afraid to take chances. And we know how lethal and dangerous he can be when he's trying to attempt those passes in the final third. And if we look at his stats, key passes he had 0, crosses he had 0, long balls he had 0, shots on target 0, shots off target 0. So you can see that he wasn't taking any chances. He was just there just to be there. And that is something that Setién will need to take a look at, because Riqui Puig was put into that team to make the decisive, lethal passes, but he couldn't do his one and only job. Not only that, but he was the reason why we conceded that goal in the first half. So I'm gonna show you guys some pictures here. We can see the Ibiza winger take the ball up and center the ball in the box. The man that you see right next to Riqui Puig was Ricky's man. He was supposed to guard him, but Riqui was not capable enough to get in front of him to block the pathway, and that is why we conceded the goal. And I know that I'm showing you guys pictures, but if you guys go look at the video on YouTube, you can see how Riqui Puig was unable to track back and block that guy from scoring the goal, and that is why they scored that goal, was because Riqui Puig was not able to man mark. Now I want to move on to Junior Firpo. He was actually the reason why we almost conceded our second goal in the first half. And if we look at the play here, we can see that he gets the ball, he receives it, he does not respond well to pressure, he loses the ball, and that is why they almost scored that second goal in the first half. So he did not respond well to the pressure. He was very shaky, and that is something that we cannot accept at FC Barcelona. Did Ibiza pressure well throughout the whole game? Yes, they did. But when you are a FC Barcelona fullback, we expect to receive better, and that from Junior Firpo was not good enough. Now moving on to Frankie de Jong and Arthur, and this is why I say that these two players will be fundamental to Setién's system. When Arthur came in the 72nd minute, the game quality of Barcelona went into a different class, not just because of Arthur, but because Arthur's and de Jong's partnership came together. There was more ball control, more key passes were attempted. The players around them trusted de Jong and Arthur, which made them become more of risk takers, because they knew that de Jong and Arthur had their backs just in case they lost possession. And that was exactly what we needed. But besides all that, right, what really stood out to me the most was the understanding of de Jong and Arthur. And I want to give credit to Setién for making this change, because I'm going to show you guys a little play on why their understanding is top notch. Like, it's amazing. We are going to look here when we are about to score the first goal. And so de Jong takes the ball, he receives the ball, he goes up. You can see Arthur looking at de Jong, and he knows that de Jong is going to take the ball all the way up. And so what does Arthur do? He stays back and covers de Jong's position. Those little movements do count, and sometimes those little movements result into something big, and that is what led to the first goal. Arthur is like, go ahead de Jong, go forward, express yourself, be creative, I will take your spot, I will be in this position for you, do not worry, if you go up I will stay down. And that is exactly what happened. That partnership almost reminds me of Xavi and Iniesta. I'm not saying that they are better than Xavi and Iniesta, but the understanding between De Jong and Arthur is really good, and they barely play together. That is what a team is supposed to do, is have each other's backs. And Arthur and De Jongs, they have each other's backs. They benefit from each other. They make each other better. And they are only going to get better, right? As they continue to play more and more, their understanding will become stronger. So because of those two geniuses in the middle, we ended up getting more chances, meaning more goals, and which now leads me to Antoine Griezmann. He continues to show us why he is made to be in that center forward position this season. Griezmann became much more effective when he was in that position. And I'm going to show you guys a picture of what that looked like. When Arthur Vidal and Jordi Alba came in, we can see that they converted into a 3-5-2. Griezmann and Ansu Fati became the focal point of the attack. And again, I want to thank Setién for making this readjustment. The focal point of the attack in the last 20 minutes was Griezmann and Ansu Fati. And of course, when you do have that Frenchman in the natural position, he scores. And we won the game 2-1, 2 goals from Antoine Griezmann. And just to go into more detail on how that second half looked like, we can see that we greatly improved in that second half. We have a total shots of 6, shots on target 3, shots off target 1. And so you can see we created more chances. We became more creative. We start taking more risk, and we can see big chances won. So it is a much bigger improvement compared to the first half. And that is because we have Arthur and De Jong being creative in that midfield, working together more, and Antoine Griezmann taking charge of that center role. So am I upset about this performance? I'm not upset, because what really hurt us was that we simply experimented way too much. But it was that second half adjustment that really saved us. I believe Setién took note of this. He knew what worked and what didn't. He knew what players responded well with 3 men in the back line and who didn't. He knows that Griezmann is much more effective the more you centralize him, which could potentially play a huge part in this Suarez backup replacement that the club is looking for. So to me, in this game, we came out with more answers than questions. Even though it was a bit of a hard win, we still learned a lot from it, and I know Quique Setién learned a lot from this match. So our next game will be against Valencia, which will be on Saturday. It's going to be very intense. It's going to be crazy, especially knowing that Barcelona will be going to the Valencia stadium. I know that Quique Setién will go with his best 11, and he will have an even greater understanding of who are his best players for his system. So it's going to be very fun to watch. I'm going to be covering that pre-match and post-match. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Again, I want to make the conclusion. I'm not mad about this game. It was a good game. We learned a lot. We are going to improve, and now it's time to focus for the game against Valencia on Saturday. So there's a lot to be excited about. You guys should be excited. I'm excited. I want to thank you guys for showing me so much support and love through all my social media channels. Expect more videos coming out these next few days in this week. So I appreciate the love. I'll see you guys next time.